Hello, and you're all very welcome along to today's webinar, Irish Attractions, Reopening Clever and Careful Guidance. And I'm delighted to say we have three fantastic guests joining us today. We have Ailish Carew from EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum. Jessica Hoyle is joining us from National Museums Northern Ireland. And we have Sheila Boylan from the National Gallery of Ireland. So we're delighted that all three are able to join us today. But before we begin, we thought we'd actually run a quick poll just to get a sense of how people are feeling at the moment. So if you could all kindly look at your screens, please. This is our first of two polls today. So the question is, do you believe that visitor numbers will return to their pre-pandemic levels by the end of 2020? So if you could all please vote now. You may not be surprised. Here's our results. 100% have actually said that they don't expect visitor numbers to return to their original levels before the end of 2020. Well, on that cheery note, our first guest today is Sheila Boylan from National Gallery of Ireland. So Sheila, just tell us, you've been open for coming up 2 weeks now. How has that experience been for the team at NGI?
Actually, it's been a great experience. Like all of us, there was a lot of hard work put in advance of the day of opening. So we opened our shop on the 22nd, and we opened up the gallery. We're opening the gallery in a phased basis. So we opened up some of the gallery spaces on the 29th. I'm not going to talk to the work that went in advance to make sure that we had all the COVID safety measures in place. But I will say what our approach was keep it simple. We wanted it to be a simple experience, to keep it as simple as possible. Very conscious of holding on and speaking to two messages for visitors. The first one was that we're a very safe place to visit, because we were really trying to address what we thought was a lot of the fear of coming out of COVID and visiting somewhere like the gallery. And the second one was very much so, we are a very welcoming place to come to. Yes, we do have COVID signage. Yes, we do have measures in place, but it kind of is a very peaceful place to visit, and it doesn't look terribly different. Bar, you've a lot of yellow and black signage in the gallery. So where we are at the moment is we're phased opening. So on Monday, we're opening up our Irish rooms, room 14 to 17, and introducing a one-way system. And in the week following that, we will be opening up all of the rest of the gallery spaces. So it's very much phased. That has been quite a good experience for us, because yes, it's very complicated to open it up, but doing it in a phased manner has allowed us to see what works, to see what doesn't work, and be very flexible to what we need to do, what changes we need to make. And it's great here on a daily basis. It changes sometimes by the hour. And it's all about being flexible to those changes, and that's really what has stood to us, to being able to be flexible.
Indeed. And Jessica, we've heard a lot recently, of course, about signage and social distance signage, but by good fortune, you were already working on new signage for the NMNI new branding.
We're indeed, yeah. So specifically at the Ulster Museum, we already, before we closed our galleries, had a work in progress for new signage that offered a stronger and clearer identity. So this period has given us an opportunity to keep that new signage consistent with the reopening messages that we're embedding across the site. So it's been a really positive experience, and we're installing it now, and I think it lends itself well to the new normal that we're facing. For instance, we've installed directional signage that we can swap out as the one-way system develops, and new colourways for our galleries and tram lines to encourage people to do our visitor flow, the one-way system. It's been a fantastic opportunity to embed that new normal.
Excellent. And Ailish, you opened on the 29th of June.
Right.
Anyone who's been to Epic knows what a fantastic attraction it is. But of course, it comes with its own challenges, being somewhat cavernous and underground. I understand you actually undertook some testing to make sure that it would be safe to the public.
Yeah, well, we certainly had our engineering department check the airflow, because that's obviously always a concern. We're lucky with Epic in a way because the vaults are very large with ceilings, but also it's a one-way system. So that helped us. It was always, a linear visit to Epic, so people weren't turning back on themselves. So we didn't really need to redesign. And like Sheila said with National Gallery, we didn't want it to look that different, and it doesn't, apart from hand sanitizers and the signage. And really, we then undertook a lot of training with the staff just in terms of controlling people through the galleries. So we have controlled entrance, but obviously if people take longer in one gallery or another, we sometimes, we haven't had the numbers yet that we'll need to do that, but in time we might need to just stop people entering one gallery till some people have moved on to the next gallery.
Indeed. And folks, we want to keep this as much of an interactive session as possible. So please, you have the opportunity to ask questions. There is a chat box and a Q&A box at the bottom, so do feel free to submit your questions. Sheila, I know that we've all been looking for inspiration around the world, and I believe you were quite impressed by the work of Whitsdale Zoo.
Yeah, I was, because this was quite a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to find out what other visitor attractions, how they were approaching their messaging. And actually it was Whipsnade Zoo. It was a video. I got a huge amount of inspiration from it, because if you actually look at the video, it's not a senior member of staff. It's a welcoming person, staff member in the zoo, very bright, always talking about how easy it is to come and visit. And I felt great confidence in watching that video that, you know what, that's a visit I actually wouldn't mind making because I'd watched the video. And that's why I got a lot of inspiration out of that.
Excellent. And Ailish, I believe you were actually inspired by the world of retail.
I was, because I felt, even though it was their only chance to get out during lockdown, I began to absolutely dread the weekly shop. And I thought, okay, if shopping has to be done and I'm dreading it, we've got to make all our attractions as attractive and as easy as possible for people to visit. Because nobody's going to go and spend their money or their leisure time if they're dreading a visit because of COVID and the restrictions. So I looked at what, retail that had opened up before us, and I was looking to see who's doing this well. Once you've got the hygiene and safety measures out of the way, where do you feel comfortable? And one place I thought that did it very well was Kildare Village. Where they still had the shopping experience. It felt very much on the website that they had taken care of all of the details, and we did the same. We gave very detailed instructions on our website, but we also have much more detailed FAQ sheets for the different segments, which we're finding people are looking for them, like education and where due diligence, they really want all the details. So we're able to send those out when we're getting inquiries. But also at Kildare Village, and we took inspiration from this, we decided to move away from the COVID yellow signage. We felt that we needed signage still that was very impactful and that people couldn't miss, but that we'd move away from the yellow. And we've done that. We've actually a bright neon pink, but it fits very well with our branding. We also decided to integrate a little bit the messaging with our branding, so it could be a little bit more playful. And EPIC, one of the acronyms we use for EPIC is Every Person is Connected. But now for some of our COVID signage, we say every person is considerate. We just feel it's a nice message to say to our visitors, please be considerate and mindful of others.
That's good advice at any time, I think. Jessica, we know a lot of sites are increasing the amount of cleaning at the moment, certainly visible cleaning. You're due to open the doors of the Ulster Museum at the end of this month, I believe. Can you tell us a bit more about some of the hygiene practices that you're planning to put in place?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, we've implemented an enhanced cleaning regime across the museum, and that will be visible to visitors on site. So we have procured additional cleaning staff on site to go around and undertake that regular cleaning. We'll be doing deep cleans of our toilets 3 times a day, and we'll have limited capacity in those spaces. And staff managed queue systems into those spaces as well to reduce people in those areas. We have redone risk assessments for all areas of the museums and rewritten operating procedures to implement these new hygiene measures on site. And a lot of changes that will be happening on galleries, for instance, to protect the collections and to lower the amount of objects that visitors can touch on site. For instance, for some of our AV equipment, we have taken off the headphones that you can pick up off the wall, and we're running subtitles on the videos in the interim period. Just trying to think about how we can minimise those spaces that visitors can touch so that we can focus the cleaning regime on more high traffic areas.
Excellent. And Sheila, the elephant in the room, I think, for so many attractions is the fact that for so long in Ireland, we've been dependent on international audiences, and certainly those of a certain age. So how are you adapting to a younger, more domestic audience?
Well, that journey started very consciously during our lockdown. So during the lockdown, we would have done a virtual tour, but we also did mindfulness tours. And we did a survey during lockdown to discover that really connected with the younger audience. Now, what we have done for reopening is we have done 2 social distancing trails in the gallery. And they are online. And what we've actually managed to do, because obviously we've managed to link the audio content from our audio tours into these highlight tours. So when a visitor comes in, all they have to do is to go into the website. They can open up the trail and they can listen to the content in a safe manner on their own phones. We've been really pitching for that. We've opened up our temporary exhibition program. We opened it up for free this week, and instead of offering full price, we're charging €5 next week. It's about, and the message will come out hopefully again this weekend, we're safe for families to come and visit. I am finding that the Fáilte Ireland have issued out a report there this week talking about consumer insights and behaviour and visitors to attraction. And what I'm seeing is completely resonating with that report. It's a much younger audience. We're really not seeing the older audience, 55 plus. We're definitely sensing that when Fáilte Ireland's report, like in summary, said, people are interested in outdoor rural visits to attract. That's where visitors want to go. And they're not necessarily interested at the moment in indoor and maybe high density attractions. But I have to say I'm seeing an awful lot of, even though our visitor numbers are low, there's a huge percentage of that 35 to about 45 age group coming through the door as a percentage of visitor numbers.
Interesting. And Jessica, Sheila's obviously mentioned there the fact that outdoor attractions are potentially set to benefit. Obviously, you have the Ulster American Folk Park, you've got the Folk and Transport Museum. Have you made any changes to reflect the fact that you are open and this could really be a great opportunity for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing a phased opening of our sites. So the outdoor sites are slightly later, but we are changing the way that we promote those sites to show social distancing within our photos or our videos that we promote our sites with, so that visitors can see that experience before they arrive. So that's a piece of work that we're completing at the moment to get that visitor confidence in the measures that we're putting in place and the experience.
Excellent. And Eilish, for you at Epic, no getting away from the fact, obviously, it's a major award-winning international attraction. How are you adapting your plans for this new audience?
So I suppose a couple of things. We also consciously, I suppose, when we shut down, knew that we wouldn't be welcoming any international visitors. I suppose at first we thought not as many, but of course as it has went on, the figures, it all got worse and worse and worse, with more and more cancellations coming in. So we consciously did a lot of activities while we were shut for children and for families. So we really grew our database. We did a lot of online activities. We're running virtual camps now over the summer. So very much about building that audience so that when they do come back, that we will benefit from it. We have seen, actually surprisingly, a lot of our visitors since we've opened have been families with quite young kids, or sometimes multi-generational, where they're also bringing their parents in along with the children. And the feedback we're getting even on TripAdvisor is that people feel very safe and very comfortable. Of course, the visitor numbers are quite low as well, so they're certainly not going to risk, there's not a challenge really at the moment, and probably won't be for a lot of us with social distancing, even though we've prepared for it with our training.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to go to our second poll of the day. So again, if you'd all be kind enough to look at your screens once again as we ask our next question, just following on from that discussion, which is, are you making any changes on site to cater to a younger, more domestic audience? So this could be plans that you currently have in place or currently under discussion. Okay, so well, 60-40. So it's currently 60% are saying yes, they are planning to make changes on site to cater to a younger, more domestic audience. So perhaps taking some inspiration from today's conversation. Ailish, staying with you for a moment, I know that many sites are going to have on-site interactives. There's a big question now, particularly around hygiene. How do you make those a hands-free experience? And I believe at Epic, you've actually been on that.
Yeah, it was one of our biggest challenges because, of course, the interactive screens their touch screens won't work with gloves. So we came up, I think, with a very innovative idea with the stylus pen. So we issue everybody with a stylus pen on arrival, and they have the option to purchase it for a small donation at the end, and quite a few do, because they suddenly realize this is good for the bank, this is good, it's kind of handy to have this in my handbag. But people actually really like using it. It obviously makes them feel safe, but I think even for small kids, it just gives one other touch point, which is quite important. Another challenge we had was our sports table, because the sports table uses discs that you just, a little bit like that you just put on the table to activate it. And so again, we were trying to figure out how to handle that. One of the team came up with, they're just like little plastic hockey paddles, and they sit and they can be sanitized. So they sit over the discs and people can still move them around. The other thing, of course, was the audio guide. But we already had a downloadable app in several languages. So we encourage people to still download the app. I mean, it was mainly aimed for people that don't speak English, but we do have the audio guide on app in English, and people are downloading it as well.
That's excellent. And Jessica, I understand that you were also inspired by what they call the touch policy at the Museum of London.
Yeah, so working with our collections care team, we've gone out and approached a lot of other organisations about how they manage touching objects in our collections, but maintaining those objects for the future. And so we've now put together a touch policy that is individual to each of our sites, that details some of the measures that we're putting in place to protect visitors, but also our collections. So, for instance, that does include our enhanced cleaning regimes, sanitizer for some interactives, but we need to be aware that, especially with our outdoor sites, we have historic houses, but in Ulster Transport Museum we have historic vehicles. So we've been in discussions about what we do to maintain that visitor experience, but then protect the collections with enhanced cleaning. So a lot of that is down to signage. So we are saying about sanitizing your hands or washing your hands and then having that visible cleaning presence. But we have decided to close some of those exhibits just for the interim and explain how the preservation of the collections influences how we reopen in this new world.
And Sheila, just looking at how we use technology to reassure visitors that it's safe to visit and that it will be an enjoyable experience, I believe you've been looking at some welcome videos.
Yes, actually we're finalising it this morning and we're going to be launching it on Monday when we reopen Merrion Square and we reopen the one-way site. So it's a welcome video. It's a little bit about the key messages that we've all talked about here about safety, what you can do, trails, and we're hoping to put that on the website. We're going to put that on all our totems, our digital signage in the gallery, so the ribbon screens behind the information desks. So yeah, we felt that was quite an important thing to do, just to reassure visitors as they're coming into the gallery. It's another part of the messaging.
Absolutely, and particularly as an at-home message, which leads us quite neatly to a quick video. So this is for Bletchley Park. This is a welcome video that we've produced.
We're delighted to welcome you back. Our doors are open and we invite you to explore our fascinating stories of a once secret wartime history. Keeping our visitors and our team safe is our top priority. So things look a little different. We are introducing timed entry slots for everyone, extending our opening hours and limiting numbers on site for safety. Taking card-only payments. We have one-way systems in place and are managing visitor capacity in buildings. We are cleaning touch points and toilets frequently throughout the day. Trained and ready to help you. We ask you to wash your hands regularly, to use our new hand sanitizer points across the park, to be considerate of other visitors and please respect social distancing. Consider bringing your own hand sanitizer and earphones. Before you visit, go to bletchleypark.org.uk to book your timed entry slot and plan your day. This is new for all of us, so we need your help to ensure everyone has a safe and enjoyable visit. We look forward to seeing you soon.
And I guess it is just that thing, isn't it? It's giving people a message before they visit that it is safe and it can be an enjoyable experience. Eilish, Epic have, like so many people I'm sure online today, signed up to the Fáilte Ireland Safety Charter. Tell us about some of the PPE that your staff will, I guess, have the opportunity to wear.
So I suppose what most of the staff have opted for visors, as you've just seen in the Bletchley Park. And that's our preference, I suppose, in that you can see the smile. It's very hard to work in hospitality and not get the smile and the personality across. Although I'm sure we'll all get better with smiling with our eyes. We also provide masks for staff that want to wear both, but the majority are wearing the visors. They obviously have gloves. And then, that's really pretty much the main part of what we have. We have masks and gloves available for visitors should they want them. They're not mandatory, because the social distance, with the numbers we have, we're able to have quite easily social distancing, but they're available if people want them. And we ask everybody to sanitize, hand sanitizer before going into the museum.
Great stuff. Okay, we have time for a few final questions. So Jessica, first one to you. Inevitably, toilet facilities are a big area of discussion. What general measures have been put in place? And I know that you were already looking into this for the end of the month.
Yeah, so there's, again, following on with the enhanced cleaning regimes, so we will be deep cleaning our toilet facilities 3 times a day, and then as part of that regular maintenance, we'll be cleaning the more highly touched surfaces. We've tried to identify where our high traffic toilets will be, and have identified that that will be at the entrance, as before people want to undertake the one-way system. So we've put a queue management system in place there that will have a staff member on hand to adhere to social distancing and to tell people when the other person has left and they can go in, because we have identified that only one household or one person can enter the toilet room itself to adhere to social distancing. So we'll be having staff facilitate that on site.
Superb. Eilish, a quick one for you that's come in. Any tips on keeping the workforce motivated?
I suppose we worked very, very hard on that while we were closed. So we had weekly, we called it EpicCom, and really everybody joined in every week. We had a Friday, so we had a communication session every week with all the staff, letting them know all the activities that were happening. All of the furlong teams got involved in projects, so I think that was really great. We had a weekly Friday quiz. So our aim is to try and keep up some of those activities. So we continue with the weekly communication, so people can either dial in from home, or if they're now at work, they will be involved in the communication team. And it's really, in fact, at the moment, people are very glad to be back. So people are very, very happy. I suppose my concern will be in a month or 2 months, if the numbers don't rise a little bit, that's when people start to get a little bit bored. But we have activities, the teams work so well on projects while we were shut, that we will be working to continue to try and do some of those projects so that people can get engaged in other aspects of work, creating new content, creating new tours that will all be there in a bank for whenever we do need it.
Indeed. And Sheila, one final question for you. Despite the financial impact, is there still an appetite to invest in new experiences for 2021?
It's it changes week to week. Certainly from our point of view, we're very, this has been very tough, and in terms of our resources. So I have to be honest and say right now there isn't, but there's a long time to go in this year, and we don't know how the appetite for this will change, how the visitor experience will change in terms of investing in new services or how to enhance that experience. Really, it's a very open answer.
It's tough to know, and I'm sure it's a question that many online will be grappling with in the weeks and months to come. I can't believe we're almost out of time. 30 minutes never seems enough, but I just have to thank our 3 wonderful guests today: Jessica Hoyle from NMNI, Eilish Carew from EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, and Sheila Boylan from the National Gallery of Ireland. Folks, if you like any more information on audio guides, multimedia guides, or video production, feel free to drop us a note. We're always happy to have a chat. And if you haven't already done so, our next webinar, Using Technology to Aid Visitor Experience in the Age of COVID-19, that's going to be taking place on the 16th of July. My colleague Spencer Clark will be at the helm. I'm sure it's going to be a great discussion. We've got Dave Patton from the Science Museum who'll be joining us for that. So do stay tuned for that. So many thanks. And all it leaves me to say is continued good wishes and best of luck with your reopening. Many thanks.